Have you seen what Elon Musk just did? Ever since Kamala Harris has risen to the top of the Democratic ticket, social media has been tearing into the false identity politics she espouses. And Elon wasn't going to hold back. An AI-altered sarcastic ad he posted to X has gotten even the governor of California after him, and you're about to see exactly why. I need to tell you why the contest of that sarcastic ad has made so much ripples against the online world, as well as what Musk said in response to its critics. So subscribe to the channel and take a look at this as we dive in.
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time.
This parody ad made a lot more waves than anticipated because this retweet by Elon Musk brought notoriety from even as far as Gavin Newsom, who threatened to enact laws banning comedy like this. Gavin wrote on X saying, quote, "Manipulating a voice like an ad like this one should be illegal. I'll be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure it is." Elon Musk had a charged comeback saying, "I checked with renowned world authority Professor Suggan, he's nuts." And he said parody is legal in America. Not to mention the fact that Gavin Newsom was making that implicit threat of censorship on a platform owned by Elon himself. It's truly a window into how the governor even thinks if he believes he can unilaterally make something illegal by just signing his name on a bill to censor comedy and free speech. But on the larger point about some of the biting criticisms of this parody ad makes, perhaps you realize why it has taken off like it is. Kamala Harris over the past 3.5 years has largely been unpopular and irrelevant as vice president, and not a lot of people expected her to take over the mantle after Joe Biden and actually run with it. From even being lower in approval ratings than Joe Biden, she's suddenly risen to the top of the party when perhaps everyone implicitly understands that she was picked for the VP spot as a response to the pressure for diversity in the Democratic ticket and administration. That has led to a consistent gap between her and the electorate that she occasionally tries to bridge by appealing to the far-left ideas or with the infamous cackle that she lets out in the wrong moments, and it's uneasy political themes like that this political satire is perfectly positioned to tackle, which perhaps people like Gavin Newsom just don't understand.
Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression.
So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking.
The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring.
And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. You think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
And in a way, that encapsulates much of America's feelings about Kamala. There's a subtle disconnect between her and the people where it's almost like she's trying hard to not act like a typical politician and yet failing at it. It's not just her apparently not being able to speak to people unless there's a proper script, or the fact that her laughter often feels ill-timed and ingenuine, but it's also her increasing pandering to the far left in her base, which doesn't spell great news for America if she ends up as the president. And you see that consistent theme with her pick for VP and someone like Tim Walz, with a whole track record of hyper-partisan policies as the governor of Minnesota. He's even clearly hinted at reverence for the kind of socialist redistribution, as well as a complete lack of understanding of the First Amendment when he says it doesn't protect misinformation. None of that makes the Kamala Harris ticket any more appealing for the Democratic Party, let alone the center or the right. And there's another reason that which this ad was clearly not afraid to call it out. It's not just Kamala's identity politics as it regards herself, but also the narrow identity-based view of her electorate that makes her try to put on a fake act and try to act and appeal to whoever the voter base she's speaking to is. And unfortunately, there's plenty of examples of that, not just from Kamala, but other Democratic leaders like Hillary Clinton, who appear to get an accent while giving a speech to African-American voters or Southerners. Here's a few cringeworthy moments that are perfect examples.
Hold Here, hold on. Here's the thing. The courts are going to handle that. We're going to beat them in November. We'll beat them in November. We'll handle that. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will. So let's get right.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. And we know if we finish this march, what awaits us. St. Paul told us in the letter to the Galatians, let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart.
Can you really blame people for seeing that as weirdly condescending? The way you speak to people and the changes in tone and vocabulary you make inevitably reflect how highly you think of them. And it's unfortunate that while trying to appeal to the African American voter base, much of the Democratic Party would instead subject them to the tyranny of low expectation, rather than speaking to them as if they would any other person. If Kamala Harris decides to carry that forward from Hillary Clinton, you're going to have people that see right through that and act realizing where it is always really coming from in the end. As it stands right now, the internet and the freedom offered by the online space is perhaps the only safe haven for expressing that openly, and political satire forms a core part of that. Perhaps someone like Gavin Newsom would do well to understand that there's no legal room for a governor to simply crack down on online speech, because that's not what a democracy founded on the ideals of freedom allows. And whether it's Gavin Walz or a potential Kamala Harris presidency, those fundamental ideals will remain and allow for open discourse for criticism, even if the political class doesn't like it.